Cimoooooooo! What's going on, guys? It's Cimo. So today I'm bringing to you another deck profile from the Luxury Championship Series 3. This one definitely caught my attention. It was a top 8 and it was Guru Control. And as soon as I saw this, I had to reach out to Johnathan to get this profile for you guys so you could hear from the man himself. So Johnathan, go ahead and introduce yourself for everyone who might not know who you are.
Hi, my name is Johnathan. I got top 8 in the LLCS this weekend. We Subterra Guru Control.
Out of all the decks, why did you decide to play Guru Control? I mean, this format's just being absolutely taken over by Eldritch and Adamantipator, but you went with Guru and you managed to get all the way to top 8. Why was your decision leading up to that?
So the reason behind it was because I feel more familiar with Guru. I've been playing the deck for a year and over 2 months. I wanted to play Eldritch since it's a little bit better, more consistent than Guru. But I just went with Guru because I thought it was gonna be a little bit more fun for me, and I more comfortable with it.
Sure, and I definitely think that's important as well, considering if you play a deck you're more familiar with, there's a less chance of misplaying and a greater chance you might go far, and you got top 8, so clearly that was the case. So to give people some insight into how the tournament went, what kind of matchups did you play against? I know you played against a lot of Eldritch, but what about some of the other matchups too?
So I played 4 Adamantipator's, I played 2 Dinos, and around 6 Eldritch Synchro. All of them were Synchro version.
Yeah, so very, very meta heavy for this tournament. Yeah. So clearly you didn't really get many freebies in this one, that's for sure. So let's go ahead and just do a quick rundown of your deck here for people who may not be familiar. Actually, before we do that, what is like the overall win condition of your deck? What's your deck trying to do for people who may not know how this deck works?
So the way I build my deck is pretty much to outground my opponent as much as possible and start snowballing little by little with Guru and Archer, and find a battle to obtain a little bit more attack.
So let's go ahead and cover the deck now. So we've got 3 copies of Subterra Guru, the heart and soul of the deck, followed by 3 copies of Fiendus, 2 Archer, and then 3 Ash Blossom, wrapping up your monster count. 2 Book of Moon, can't wait to pick your brain about this one. Mystic Mine, a Necro Valley, paired with the 3 Hidden City, which is the deck's field spell, Terraforming, and Set Rotation. I guess Metaverse is a trap, but that also goes to the field spell suite, if you will. Then we also have 2 Pot of Duality, 3 Pot of Extravagance, and then a Subterra Cave Clash for your spell lineup. For traps, we have 2 Crackdown, 2 Goes and Match, 3 Solemn Judgment, 3 Final Battle, and then 3 There Can Be Only One. So the first question I have regarding your monster lineup is, I notice there's no Umastrix here, and you have 2 copies of Archer, which I guess is a little bit unorthodox. I know Umastrix is debatable, I guess, in the Subterror community, but also you only have 3 copies of Ash Blossom for your hand traps, where you saw some other decks like Ryan Yu Sky Striker build playing 14 hand traps in his list. So why the decision to leave out Umastrix, and then why the decision to not play so many hand traps?
So the reason behind the hand traps was because I feel like I break too much if I run too many hand traps. I built the deck to specifically go first. I did put certain cards which will help me if I lose the die roll. But pretty much I just pick Ash because it's the most generic one. I'm not a big fan of running too many hand traps. For the Archer portion, I personally don't like Huminatrix. I feel like he's a brick. I prefer to draw a monster, a normal summon monster, which it will keep my Fiendus alive, if anything, and it will also give me access to my Guru because of his her effect.
Makes sense. So let's go on to your spell lineup now. Book of Moon. Okay, so Book of Moon recently came to 3, which is exciting for a lot of people, especially me, who've been playing ever since this game came out. But we get to see it here, and it's been popping up here and there, but this is probably one of its best appearances. So why the decision to play Book of Moon here in the main deck?
So Book of Moon right now is pretty good, going second. You can bait out certain negations. One of the most famous negations right now is Savage Dragon.
Sure.
You can do Book of Moon on the standby phase to try to book the Savage face down. If they don't negate it, they lose all their counters. And on top of that, during the main phase, I can still activate Extravagance, baiting out already the negation of the Savage. At the same time, I can use it offensively and defensively in my Guru deck, since I can flip my monsters face down if I need to. And I can also book the monsters of my opponent before they go into any link plays or so on and so forth.
Yeah, that's definitely really heads up. I love the interaction, being able to preemptively use it before Extravagance, since Extravagance has to be used as your first card in main 1. And there's not many cards that have that sort of versatility that you can just activate them in standby phase like that, but also have utility outside of just being like a negation bait, quote unquote, because like you said, you can stop link plays, which is very important for a lot of the needle fiber combos, different things like that. So that's awesome. That's really cool. Then we also have your other 2 field spells here, Mystic Mine and Necro Valley. Mystic Mine's a little little bit obvious. We've seen this before to counteract some of the big combo decks like Adamancipator. If some decks don't have an out to this, you just win the game for free, so that's nice. But then we also have Necro Valley. So talk about these two a little bit for me.
So I wanted 2 targets for serve rotation, just in case I would draw one, I will still have the other one in the deck. But I was thinking I was playing 2 Mystic Mine, but at the same time I was thinking Mystic Mine is a little bit dead against Eldritch. So I needed to think about another field spell which I have tried before, which was Necro Valley, that will be great against Eldritch. Sometimes when I activate Find Hidden City to get the group and the whole Fiendish thing going, I will end up with Necro Valley on the field if I know that I'm playing against Eldritch, and they will look at you like, damn, he's really playing Necro Valley. And it's great. Like I can play around it thanks to Final Battle Last Effect to get my resources back from the graveyard. But my opponent usually have a hard time with Necro Valley.
Yeah, Necro Valley is one of those cards I always have my eyes on. It's like, this card can be really good in the right context, and it looks like you saw some success with it, so that's great. Then let's go ahead and move on to the traps here. We have 3 there can be only 1, 2 goes in match. These were your floodgates of choice here. Talk with me about these a little bit. So I know you should play 3 and 2. Was there any particular reason, or why'd you pick these specifically?
So the reason why I picked 3 and 2, goes in match is good. Still kind of suck against Salad, which is still got a little bit of representation in the tournaments. So I have to be a little bit aware of that. They can only be 1 is still amazing against any deck right now in the meta. But Ghost in Match particularly, people think that against Adamancipators it sucks a little bit. Not really, because when they're trying to go into their extra deck, they're not Earth, so they kind of like have to play around it, or they get stuck there. Against Eldritch, it's a 50-50, but if they play in the Synchro version, they have to play around the Ghost Match, and it's really awkward for them to play, and that's what I'm trying to obtain with these 2 floodgates. Combination of these 2 floodgates.
And then versus a card like also like Summon Limit, you know, Summon Limit's nice if your opponent doesn't have a board, but if they do, these cards both act as like essentially board wipes in a way if you can manage to get it to stick, so that's cool. But that's pretty much it for your main deck. Everything else seems pretty standard for the most part, I would say. Let's go ahead and move on to the extra deck. We have 2 copies of Drago Necro Nether Soul Dragon, 2 Mud Dragon of the Swamp, 2 Starving Venom, and 2 Last Warrior from Another Planet. These are obviously all your Super Poly targets. Then we have 2 Ausa, the Earth Charmer Immovable, 2 Link Karibo, and 3 Relinquished Anima. So talk to me about the extra deck here. Was there anything you wanted to change with this, or was this pretty much everything you needed?
So Super Poly, I did not use it whatsoever in the tournament. I think I only used it once in a mirror match, and that was about it. But definitely Super Poly is probably gonna being taken out. So with that being said, also the Super Poly targets. A card that I really want to try out in the deck is Access Code Talker with the combination of Celine.
Yeah.
I saw the Ryan play, and I thought that I could actually add that in combination to my deck. Thanks to Fiendish being a spellcaster, and also Usa, the Earth Charmer, being a spellcaster also, I can link climb all the way to Celine and just go from there.
Yeah, I think it's really cool that Access Code Talker is just enabling a lot of decks to have like an alternate win condition, kind of like Boral Sword Dragon, but just in like a different way. And so we've seen it in Sky Striker. They had Utopia Double before, I suppose, as well. But yeah, Access Code Talker definitely adding a lot of versatility to these decks. So let's now go ahead and talk about your side deck here. So 3 Token Collector. This is like one of the breakout cards of like the format within the past week or so. 3 Lightning Storm, 2 Super Poly, which you already mentioned you're probably going to take out moving forward, 2 Appointer of the Red Lotus, 3 Evenly Matched, and 2 Waking the Dragon. So let's start with Token Collector. How did this perform for you?
That card will perform. Again, I play against 6 Eldritch Synchro, so it helped me a lot. That card, every time that I resolve it, it was kind of like, I'm in an awkward spot here, so let me just go into my Eldritch play and pass turn.
Right.
Really great card. I added because I thought it was a meme at the beginning, but then I realized that I was like, yo, this card is really damn good right now in this format. So I just went and decided that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you have stuff like Link Cross making tokens, Rorodon making like actually there is a lot. Even like Nibiru, there's like interactions for Nibiru as well. Not obviously with your deck that matters, but like there's so many like weird things that this card's actually pretty good against. I agree with you. It definitely seemed like a meme at first. So Lightning Storm's pretty obvious too. Super Poly we already talked about. Talk to me about Appointer. This to me seems a bit interesting because a pointer to me is like definitely like a combo player's wet dream, because then you could just take out anything that they don't particularly want. I guess in your case, you could also use it in the same way if they have like an evenly matched or like something that you don't want them to use. But how did this perform?
So usually for the switch up that I do for a red up pointer is a crackdown. Crackdown is only good in game 1, game 2, and 3. Everybody side lightning storm against me or evenly match. That's usually a quick swap up for them. In game 3, I usually activate Red Lotus, or game 2. I get information from their hand, which is the best use for that card. With my deck, you need to learn how to play or how to interact with certain decks. That way you can know where to hit them. And Red Lotus give me that information that I need. On top of that, as a bonus, it snatch a card, which I probably would not want to see in their hand. And I don't care that they see my hand, because usually the only card that I have is always Fiendus in my hands.
And that's typically known anyway most of the time. So it's like they're already knowing to play around it regardless. Yeah, so then the other card I want to talk about is Waking the Dragon. So the big question is, how many times did you resolve that?
Only once. It definitely gave me the game, but only once. I just added Waking the Dragon. Again, lightning storm is everywhere.
Right.
So I just put it there as a 2-of just for fill up, and it worked. It worked. Give me one game. So
you already mentioned before that you would want to switch up the extra deck to incorporate access code talker moving forward. Was there any other changes you'd want to make overall in the main or the side deck, or were you pretty happy with it? Aside from, well, also Super Paul you said to take out as well, but anything else, or do you feel like it performed pretty well?
It performed pretty well. Depending on the ban list on June, we'll see what other adjustments I will do to the deck. But if there's no ban list, I probably will try Token Collector in the main. I think that was pretty good.
Wow.
Yeah, that card overperformed a lot. But other than that, yeah, cool. It will be Access Code Talker, definitely going the extra.
Awesome. And so then the last question I want to ask before we wrap things up here is, what advice would you give to someone who might be looking up to pick this deck up and start playing it, whether it's whether we get a ban list or not? What advice would you want to give to someone?
Learn the meta first before you pick the deck up. The deck depends a lot on the meta, and build your deck corresponding to the meta. Study every single deck that is in the meta, and that's how you're gonna be able to succeed with the deck as much as possible.
Jonathan, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I'm sure the audience does as well. Any final thoughts or shout outs you want to give before we wrap up?
Yeah, I would like to give some shout out to Will, the biggest Mech Knight player in the world. He helped me a lot on play testing. Teammate, usually those are the guys that I test play to. Team X3, Angry Comics in Fayetteville, North Carolina. That's my local.
Awesome. Again, Jonathan, thank you so much for your time. Guys, let me know down in the comments what you guys think about Jonathan's deck. And if Guru is something you hopefully want to see or maybe play in the future, I'm sure we'd really love to see your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching the video, and we'll see you next time.